MartiniWorks.
It had a little like scat to it.
Yeah, but I will say before we get started, there was somebody in the comment section, I think it was like 2 or 3 podcasts ago, that said, "Fine, Alex, I'm going to make a jingle for you guys."
Oh yeah.
And I would just like to call that person out because I ain't heard jack.
I haven't seen a jingle come through.
Perfection takes time.
And
all
if
right?
you're out there working on that jingle, I need you to hurry up because I can't keep coming out with free masterpieces like the one I
need
just
at least
dropped.
like a rough draft.
Yeah, something like that. How's it going? Welcome back to the MartiniWorks Podcast. Thank you so much for stopping in.
Hey, what episode is it?
Season 2, Episode 5.
Very good.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
okay.
correct.
Nice work.
Don't tell me I didn't do nothing for you.
I'm just gonna keep pop quizzing you.
That's a good thing to do. If your name is I gotta update this.
Hurry up.
Dead
Airtime.
space on a podcast.
Airtime.
How
This isn't good.
how could you?
So how about them new Hondas?
What?
The new Fords? How about the new Toyotas?
One thing Giles and I were talking about when we were going to lunch is like, imagine making the new 7 Series BMW with the tiny headlights and the huge front grille and the fact that the car is quite literally the same length as an F-250, which is just absurd. And taking your design language from Fiat, a.k.a. Jeep, who coined the tiny headlight fad from like 2012, and even Jeep was like, this ain't a good look.
Yeah, we're going to go back on that one.
Now every SUV has the tiny headlight, huge fog light design.
I don't like tiny headlight.
I like normal headlight. Anyway, sorry. If your name is Zachary G, Tristan C, Chris D, Zachary R, Christopher H, Jacob Dubs. He bought something else from us. Kyle N, Houston S, Matthew D, Theo W, Dalton B, Cody D, Jonathan L, Juan M, Caden K, Corey C, Travis P, Garrett W. Thank you so much for supporting the MartiniWorks Podcast by picking something up from the website.
That's a lot of names.
It's a lot of names, and we are reading them. So if you guys are looking for car parts, Mod Your Car, MartiniWorks, we're adding new brands all the time. We got Veltronic Designs on the website. We got EBC brakes now, so if you need brake pads, you can go out there and pick something up from that. We got RaceQuip seats on the website now as well.
Can I have a confession? Because you're talking about brakes.
Ooh, confession time.
Yeah. I've never changed brakes on a vehicle personally myself because I've never owned a vehicle long enough that needed brakes.
That's fair.
So I've just never done it.
Good for you.
I would say
I
think it's not good for me. I want to know. I should do it.
It's not hard.
I watched you guys do it on the Z, and it looked.
The Z made it really easy.
The Z also had 20
only
miles.
thing that was like easy on that car. The bigger brakes, so like where you just pull the pins out and you drop the pads out, super easy. I've only had to do it a handful of times too, but that was because like I was like, oh, I want to upgrade them.
Have you ever done drum brakes?
I have done drum brakes, and they fucking suck.
It's shocking to me because I did drum brakes on the Datsun. I remember the first time doing it, I was like, somebody at some point in their life engineered this. Yeah. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is the most like rudimentary system I've ever seen before, and people like placed their trust in this stuff.
Yeah, like this is going to stop my 5,000-pound Cadillac.
Like 1970, it's just the most. It's such a silly system, and it's like it's got so many failure points.
Bunch of springs and levers, and you got to hope that they're all connected right.
Because if they're not, you're not stopping the car.
It reminded me of like the first time I did drum brakes. I think it was on our Neon. We had to replace the drum brakes in the rear, and it reminded me when I was going through small engines class. We all rebuilt like lawnmower engines. That was like our like capstone project for like the semester. It's like, okay, go find a fucking lawnmower. We're gonna tear it down and we're gonna rebuild it. And you're gonna learn the ins and out of a small engine. Well, didn't I just luck out and go find a free broken lawnmower that happened to be the only one that used a points system instead of like a regular ignition? And I had to learn and figure out all about point systems and how to set those. And it just reminded me of that because I'm like, this is just so overcomplicated for no fucking reason.
My dad used to tell me when I was a kid that he learned how to become an electrical engineer because he used to take things apart and put them back together. That was like his hobby.
It's fun.
And so he did that with like TVs and surround systems and audio systems and stuff. So like when I was a kid, I was always like, I'm going to do that too. So I just randomly started taking shit apart. I was like 8 or 9. And I took apart the stereo system that I'd saved up for. I remember it was $200.
Oh my God!
And it was like the big, the double, and then it had the centerpiece with the 6-disc changer, and I was really proud of it. It had all the colors and lights and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna take it apart because my dad took stuff apart. I want to learn how to do it.
Right.
So I did. I took that motherfucker down to the bones. I was proud of myself. I had the screwdrivers and the flatheads and everything was in a billion pieces. I'm like, I'm going to put this thing back together. So I did. I put it back together.
Yeah.
And when I got it all done, and I looked back down, there was like 17 more pieces. All very important looking pieces, not just like screws and plastic bits.
That
but
means
like,
you put it back together better.
yeah, so I went and
need less stuff.
I had my dad come down. I'm like, Papa, can you come help? And he looks at me and he goes, oh, mijo. He's like, I forgot to tell you the most important part of the story. And I said, oh, what was that? He goes, well, I used to be so good at taking things apart and putting them back together that I'd do that so many times, I'd have enough parts left over to make a second part. And I'm like,
Hell
thank you.
yeah,
Thank
you're
you,
on the
Papa.
right track.
And it never worked the same again. Kind of like cars, you know?
Yeah, you do that. Yeah, that happens.
But
Speaking of,
I was going to say, what are we talking about today, Dakota?
Well, that'll get into our second segment here, which is our favorite JDM cars. But
Okay.
yeah, right now the downpipes are in the Z.
yeah, I got the
Yeah.
scars to prove it.
Yeah, the downpipes are in. Sounds absolutely incredible. Love just everything about it. I would say, you know, FI exhaust when we did the catbacks. I like the sound. I wasn't really
it was
convinced.
pretty underwhelming. Like
Yeah,
just
it
doing
was just still
and
quiet.
it wasn't the FI.
It's not
exhaust.
FI's fault.
No.
But you would just expect with an aftermarket exhaust, it would come out and it would scream.
because it's a valved exhaust. And I remember we like started up for the first time. We were really excited because that itself was an ordeal as well, getting the exhaust on. And we're like, are the valves closed?
Yeah.
Like, no, and hit the button and then they closed and it was like stock again. And then we opened it up and it was like just slightly louder.
God damn it.
Oh, you did it now.
We spilled coffee if you're just listening.
I'll be right back.
This is the coffee carpet.
That was the littlest spill.
This is the coffee carpet. But yeah, it was,
Alex should learn a lesson here. Let's get to the root cause of the issue.
yeah.
of
None of
coffee.
none of our coffees are spilling. That's
It was,
because
yeah, my coffee didn't spill.
no.
It was the littlest splooge. The littlest,
Splooge?
tiniest splooge.
I don't
of
like the
coffee
word
on the,
splooge.
on the carpet, okay?
Can we say splooge on a podcast?
Yeah.
We
why
said it like
couldn't you
5
say
times now.
splooge? Anyways.
Anyway.
Speaking of splooges.
Yeah. So the downpipes are in. The car sounds 100,000
Way
times better.
Yeah, way better. Way
So
better.
there was when we had 2 options to go with. There was the catless version, which is basically just these tiny little straight pipe tubes, and then there was a high flow cat variant. And we were kind of going back and forth on which ones we were going to do. We're like, well, we don't want it to sound like too raspy. We don't want it to like really get crazy because obviously this is where 90% of the sound is going to come from because it's so fucking restrictive.
Yeah.
And we ended up biting the bullet. And we're just like, all right, we're gonna go with the straight through like test pipe variant. So
And
no,
that was a
cats.
good call.
That was a good call because I would say it's still relatively tame, but it sounds so much better.
It's not raspy.
No, it's not raspy at
Not
all.
raspy at all.
It sounds
And,
great.
Yeah, it's just a very restrictive exhaust.
You
It
can
is
finally
a true dual.
Finally hear a little bit of turbo noise, a little bit. I think an intake would go a long way on that car.
So first things
Really
first.
open it up.
Intakes.
For the
Intakes, sorry.
for the audience that's listening, and I just want you to guys know that Dakota actually didn't even apologize. He blamed
I wouldn't.
the location of that as the reason as to why he punted it across the entire
Okay,
run.
so
But
if I was driving down the road, and there's a huge fucking concrete broken slab in the middle of it, and I hit it, should I get out and apologize to it? No. Fuck no. I'm going to be pissed that there's a giant concrete slab in my way. Well, I'm just trying to
I specifically
get to
put
work.
I specifically put the coffee off to the side.
because Gels kicked it last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, to protect my coffee. And then you don't even move your feet as much as Gels does, and
No.
you still punted it.
So that's what I'm saying. We
Just-
need to get to
just
the
lock
root
it down.
cause.
I think there's a different issue here.
We need to get you a cup
ADHD?
holder. A cup holder. Yeah. A cup holder. A cup holder. We just need a cup holder.
I'm gonna
And
3D print you
it and it'll go
just
right
like
on
a
the-
little,
Yeah, like just right here.
Yeah, look at this. I'm kicking right now.
Yeah.
If you're listening, I'm kicking, and I'm not hitting shit.
Oh my God! All right, let's take it back to
Thanks
the
for
Z.
cleaning up though. That was
Anyway,
nice.
so
Clean up
so
my mess.
we the two-week excursion to get the downpipes in the Z is done, and I cannot be more happy because my hands can heal for.
I filmed that shit, and I just got to say that is the worst install of a car part that I've ever seen. Not because of Gels or Alex or tools we had anything like. It's just a terrible
No.
location.
Yeah.
It's a like you said, you may have said this on the previous podcast, but it's like they put those on when the engine is out.
Yep, 100%.
And that's how it's designed.
Yeah.
It's not designed to fucking come out once it's in the car.
So I did tell FI Exhaust way back in the day because I asked them to send me both the high flow cats and the full the full free flowing cats, and I said we will do a video where we put the high flow cats in, and then we'll take them out, and we'll put the other. So because listen, it was under my assumption that getting the downpipes out wouldn't be that much of a struggle.
Yeah.
Because typically speaking, even on like the BMW stuff, like it's not terrible. You get it up there, you got the movement, you take the heat shields off. It's a day, but it's not painful, I would say. And I think earlier this week, I've been talking, I think his name is Franks. He's a very nice guy, works at FI Exhaust, connected us with the system. I pretty much just had to tell him, I'm like, hey, I am so sorry, but there is absolutely zero chance we are taking those downpipes out to put the other ones that I'm not doing. We can't do. I will send those back to you. You know, Godspeed. The ones that we put in, the race cats sound fantastic. I wouldn't recommend going any quieter than that. But I was like, I'm sorry, man, I can't do it. He responds with, he gave me some feedback. He's like, yeah, send them back. He goes, is there anything that you would have liked us to change about the exhaust? And I'm like, it's not you.
No, it's
not you guys.
Because them going in was 1,000 times easier than them coming, the stock ones coming out.
Yeah, it was just quite literally, it's the way that Nissan do.
Yeah.
But, so if you guys own a Nissan Z, you're looking for downpipes, I definitely recommend them. If you're wondering if we can install them for you at the MartiniWorks shop located in Appleton, Wisconsin, we will not be doing that. I had a couple people, we've had 2 Nissan Z owners buy their parts from Martini, which has been awesome because they've been following the car build. And, talked to one of them on the phone. They're like, yeah, I'd love to do wheels, tires, suspension, intake, and exhaust. And I'm like, sick. Here's what we would recommend. He's like, well, what about downpipes? I'm like, we're not touching those.
Not touching those.
I love you, but no.
Here's the thing. If you do want to do downpipes, if you want to unlock at least a little bit more, because I would say probably no matter what exhaust you go with, like catback-wise, it's going to be quiet. Like there's just so much restriction in the 4 catalytic converters that are tucked up in those engines. You can do the secondary downpipes pretty damn easy. We got those out in a matter of like a few hours. Those ones are way more accessible. You just kind of get a really long extension through the top, and you can drop those ones out pretty easily because they're technically like under the car still. It's when you get to those primary ones that come right off the turbos that are like tucked way up in there that it just gets to be a pain in the ass. So I know that's a big thing for the Infiniti Q60 guys and gals. Like they'll just do the secondary cats because it's just so much easier. I think you said actually now that the FI exhaust, like the standard exhaust system, comes with the secondary
they do
cats,
now,
so
yeah. And I think
that'll help.
I think Borla does that too. I'm not too sure, but one thing I would say is, what's been wild is the sound is better. There's obviously a performance improvement, but the torque curve is still the same on the Z, and it's a very, very aggressive Japanese style torque curve.
You got to get it tuned yet, and I think you can balance that out a little more.
Yeah, so we have a VR tuned piece that we're putting in, which gives it an extra 70-ish horsepower and like 80 foot-pounds of torque. So it's going to be a 500 horsepower car by the time we're done with it. Plus, we have K&N sending us intakes for it so that we can open up the turbo noise a little bit. But I'm
sure that'll be super easy.
It's it's been a really fun car, but man, that torque curve is unlike anything I've driven.
That thing is gnarly.
It's very aggressive from factory. I mean, it kicks on like 2,500. The turbo's just spool and it
like
just
for
sends you.
the tiny little turbos that are on that thing, because I've been staring at them for the past 14 days. I can't believe the work that those things do, because it fucking comes on, and it comes on hard. Like it is like it'll fucking.
If you own a BMW and you own a 335 or an M2 or an M4, the power curve on those cars is very refined. Like it's very nice. Like you put the pedal all the way down, and even it just kind of feels like this.
It just
you know,
like keep going.
Yeah, it just goes and goes and goes. The Z is not like that.
No, you
put the pedal down and it's like nothing.
It is. I would say very like Japanese style car. Like I feel like even when we you had that Mark IV Super when we went down to Driver, it was kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
like you're like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm like, man, I thought this thing would be a little bit faster with the mods it had on it. And then you got it above like 3,500 RPM, and it was a completely different fucking car. Like it was a fucking animal. And I feel like the Z is the same way. It's like, because we drive it to like take photos or something of it. You know, it's like kind of get on a little bit. It's like, okay, yeah, this is pretty quick, but then it's like you really get on it and you let it like open up all the way, and it's like you get to a certain point and that boost like kicks in, and it is a completely different fucking car.
Definitely humbles you, I'll tell you that much. But it's been a fun car. I think outside of that now, we get to announce to you guys. You guys are gonna be the first ones to hear, but we're launching a dream car build series.
Hell yeah, we are.
Right?
You're gonna tell them that was a secret.
It's not a secret. Not anymore. Not for the podcast group.
It's that one.
Yeah. So yeah, you're probably wondering like, what is this E46? Whose is that? Maybe you thought it was Alex's. You're wrong.
Yeah, it's actually Razor's.
So the podcast gets exclusive information on this first. We haven't told anyone, but yeah, we're doing a dream build series, and the whole point of the series is to find someone. Doesn't matter who it is. Could be us. Could be our friends. Could be someone on the street. I don't know. But they have their dream car, and we do a dream build on it. So we not only tell the story of making a car dope, but why this car means so much to that person. So this isn't just going to be like a car build. This one is meant to have a story attached to
Going
it
to
in a real one.
accomplish something.
Yeah. I'm so excited to start diving in and do this. We've been collecting parts. We've been working with Lars, who's the owner of the car, to tell his story, and I think you guys will really love it. And I think it's going to be it's just a passion project for us.
And it's been something we've been working on for quite a while now, just getting everything together, making sure that we're going to do it right.
Yep.
And planning out the series, and I'm really excited for it to start up. So yeah, within the next few months, you guys should be seeing that.
We're really trying to find ways to make MartiniWorks just feel a little bit different. You know,
good.
feel authentic, feel good.
Yeah, we just want to do the stuff we want to do.
And not have it so kind of like structured and pointed and so YouTube-y. And so we talked about this Dream Build series, which I'm assuming we're going to have to come up with like an actual name for it. But like, it's not about trying to put the most expensive parts on the car. It's not trying to turn it into a 1,000 horsepower race car. It's about letting the car and the person do the thing that they've always wanted to do with it. And that's going to, in our opinion, I think, feel really sick, because Lars has a really kick-ass story constantly behind the scenes. If you guys are looking at the website and you're looking at the stuff that's going, a lot of that is Lars, and he gets very little, I think, forward recognition for the amount of work that he puts in. And the same thing with Schnell, who's also helping out with the team and what they do on the website. I don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
I know that I'm
idea.
upset when something doesn't work.
They work in
but,
the shadow realm.
It's a thankless job. When everything works, it's expected, and when the smallest thing doesn't work, it's the end of the fucking world. So.
Yeah, so
props
So yeah, we'll build this car for him.
it's gonna be awesome. And then at the same time, we're getting the 430 up and rocking here in the next couple weeks, which I'm
It's
really
gonna be
excited
it's
for.
gonna be a busy couple weeks in the shop here.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Speaking of dream stuff,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud here. On your main cars, I don't even know what you'd consider your main car right now, so we can answer that question. Yours, I'd say, is the RX-8. Mine is the Supra. It's your main car. For your main car, what would be your next dream set of wheels that you'd want to throw on it?
Do you know
Because I have one in mind, and I think you do. I don't know what you'd...
I don't know if I do either.
Well,
I'll think about it.
Yeah,
You guys start.
brainstorm. First of all, Alex, would you say the F430 is your main car?
Yeah, I would say so. It's always the first one I kind of gravitate to.
Yeah.
And I have two that I would love. Two sets that I would die for.
All right.
Number one, Desmond is coming out with 19-inch 5x108s, and I would love to put a set of Rega Masters on the 430.
Hold on. Who are they fucking targeting with that, though?
I have no idea.
19-inch 5x108? What is that meant
That's
for?
literally just for art.
That is fucking
It
Ferrari.
is just
Yeah.
like...
They're making it for you.
I mean, you could put it on a fucking Focus, but that's going to be a lot of wheel.
So I reached out to them, and they're like, "Yeah, we're actually working on the mold right now. It is going to take a little while." I was like, "I figured as
It'll
much."
be
you know?
8 years, and you might get them by then.
So I actually have to get them through Desmond UK because the Desmond US didn't
Yeah, they
respond
always
to
got
me.
some fucky shit.
But I would love to get a set of Rega Masters on the 430. That was my first thing. The second thing is
Yes.
in Ferrari Challenge, there is a 296 Ferrari race car that has a set of monoblock, they're rotiform wheels, and they're like a 9-spoke design, but they're ultralight, they're monoblocks, and I've always wanted to do a monoblock conversion. I'm sorry, not a monoblock, a center lock conversion.
Center lock. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that it costs a lot of money, so
It's
I will
so
not do it.
badass though.
But I would love to put a set of like true endurance race wheels on the 430, and whether they're the 296 GTBs. Otherwise, I reached out to BBS, and BBS did 19-inch center lock for Ferrari back in the day, and it was like a very LM-ish looking wheel. They don't make them anymore, so I asked if
So
they
I
had
was
them.
like, please, BBS.
Please. They're like, are you asking us for wheels again? I'm like, Yes. And they're like, didn't you get
BBS.
wheels? They're like, didn't
It's
you
me
get
again.
like, didn't you get wheels last year? I'm like, yes. I'm like, I'm a wheel slut. I just like them. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
got a lot of wheels.
yeah, it's just a thing.
Surprised none of them have made it here yet.
Give it time.
No, I'm good. You got a garage.
No.
Yeah, it's open now. We're not filming in there. We don't have many cars in there anymore. You're good. You can keep them there.
I do plan on. I think it's one of those things where I do want to start buying random sets of wheels, and that's when I know I'm in trouble. I'm on those
dangerous.
marketplace.
Oof.
And
Yeah,
like-
dude. There's a lot of cool shit out there.
The thing is 90% of those forums, and I don't know if you guys agree if you're listening in. It's always like I have a set of 18 9.5 Volk TE37s for sale for $3,600, and they've been on my car for 7 years, and it's like that's the same price as new, brother. That's the same price as new.
Actually,
brother.
more expensive than new.
And
Yeah, for real.
but every once in a while, somebody will go out there and be like, "Hey, I've got this really odd spec,
Yeah.
BBS,
It's usually what
from
it
like
is.
1987 or like 19," and I'm like, "I want those so freaking bad." It's like, what do they?
I'll rebuild them.
Yeah, like
maybe.
what do they fit? And it's like, oh, they fit Alfa Romeo
Yeah,
from this group rally race. And
See,
I'm like,
that's
nothing.
kind of where I'm at. It's like the wheels in the RX-8 right now, fucking expensive. Like those are not cheap wheels.
No.
The problem is, if I ever go to sell them, who the
It's so specific.
fuck am I gonna
yeah.
sell them to?
Yeah.
Another wide body RX-8 that's looking for like a bag setup, because that's a really odd spec.
What
I
happened?
mean, they can get them, rebarrel them.
Yeah, that's
what would be your dream set? You got to have some.
Oh, I do.
You're a big wheel guy.
100%. And it's funny. I actually wanted these before the TE37s, and I could have got them instead of the TE37s, but they were out of stock. So I kind of impulse bought the TEs, which I still really like those. But for the love of God, I want a set of Advan GTs so bad, dude. And like the internet knows, because all I do all day is get hit with Advan GT ads of them on Supras. And I don't know what it is or where this came from, but I just love them. They're super simple design, but like I want them so freaking bad.
What size? What color?
Color, I'm indifferent on. I go back and forth. It's like I see a setup and I'm like, oh my God, that looks really good. Then the next day I scroll past, see another color, and I'm like, oh my God, that looks really good. So they just kind of have some neutral colors for it. It's nothing insane.
Like, would you go with like the silver, like that dark gunmetal?
Probably a darker color rather
Anthracite.
than like a graphite.
Yeah. The
gray
good
or
news
something
is
like that.
those things keep their value because there's
Yeah.
only like 6 made a
Yeah.
year.
I know.
It's like a part-time guy that works at the Advan factory. He's like, yeah, I guess we'll work on
I'm
one
feeling
today.
making a set.
Yeah, I'd run like the same exact sizing as my TEs, probably.
Yeah, they look good on
19-inch, and then it's like 11s in the rear.
Just in case Santa's listening. That's all I ask.
Yeah, I tell Santa.
Yeah. I will
Santa
say,
don't listen ever since I got older. I
Yeah, that's
keep
weird.
writing and he just never fucking responds. He doesn't get me anything anymore. I don't
Ghosted
know.
by
I
Santa.
think I did something naughty.
Yeah,
when we come back, we're going to be talking about the best JDM cars
that's
in
fine. I
our
don't want to say
opinion.
mine. That's fine.
Oh, did you have it?
I know. That's fine.
I'm sorry.
Jules, finish your thought.
He wants above everything else Varstone ES2s.
Oh my fucking God! Smack.
Those are rare now
fucking
because
shit out of- yeah.
Because they got
went under.
sued into oblivion.
No, I would say a set of like 3-piece Workmeisters. I think. would go
Oh
hard
God
on
damn!
Came out of nowhere.
there. I just picture like a
Been
bright
swinging.
white face on there would look really good. Otherwise, 3 spokes would go crazy hard. But the problem is, I have to go with something multi-piece
super
because like the fitment that is required is really aggressive. And if I go with like even a monoblock forged, I'm gonna have to like space it out like fucking crazy.
Yeah, you wouldn't really be able
No.
to do
No,
monoblock.
Yeah, and the thing is, even with like the Meisters and stuff, it needs to be like a -30 offset.
Something
so
to
it's
think
like,
about if you wide body your car is you like
Wheels get really
Yeah.
tough,
and
really
if you want to get rid of
expensive.
them, it's tough. If
Yeah.
you want to, you kind of commit to a setup almost.
Otherwise, I found that Mazda back in the day made
yeah.
like rotor-shaped wheels. They're only like 15s. I'm like, people can convert those to.
Yeah, like 3-piece US all the time was taking OEM wheels and
They're like-
converting them to 3-piece.
Yeah,
but
they're super
really
rare.
expensive,
They're
aren't
super
they?
rare. They're really expensive, but goddamn, do they look cool? I
That
just
would
want a
go
set
so
to
hard.
like just display because they're so sick.
With that being said, I'm so sorry for cutting Joel's off on
okay.
his dream wheels. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about best JDM wheels. Not before talking
JDM
about
cars.
JDM cars. Not before talking about.
Our sponsor of the podcast, which is
Campbell's tomato soup.
I fucking wish, dude.
Just kidding. It does start with a C though. Continental. not soup, tires. Tires on the soup. I'm connecting it all.
There you go.
Continental is a sponsor for the podcast, and we absolutely love them. We run them on almost all of our vehicles. And if you don't, you're shamed into oblivion, because I love my Extreme Contact Sport 02 so much that I got it inked into my body permanently.
You did.
And Gels was there for it. It was a crying bonding moment, but we got it done. And a random shop in LA that we walked into at like fucking
This is not
9
helping.
p.m.
5 minutes
Not-
before
This
closing.
isn't helping the pitch.
It's just showing my absolute love for Continental, because I would go into a sketchy tattoo shop again and get it tattooed right across
One
my
might
forehead.
call it an obsession.
Yep. Whether I just told a guy, we had a guy message in about some tires he needed for his Charger, and he's like, I'm running some big boys. Like, these are like 275 40 20s. What should I get? And I was like, well, what do you do with it? And he said, oh, it's my daily driver, but I still, I have fun. I was like, DWS06 Plus all day long. Best like daily driver setup I can think of. They're pretty affordable. Obviously, they're not the cheapest tire, but they're not the most expensive by far. And they do the job. And what's awesome about Continental is they come in a million different sizes. So I was able to find them in that size. I said, bro, here it is. So thank you to Continental for sponsoring the podcast. And if you need a set of tires, we can't recommend them enough. Get them at MartiniWorks.com. Welcome back. It's a second segment. There's literally no delay, so it's not really a welcome back. You were still here.
What the
Yeah, what did you do in those?
What's your favorite
4
JDM
seconds.
car? What's your favorite JDM car? I'm practicing. I want to be one of them TikTok AIs. That's really old. That's such an old trend. It's not even.
You're not even funny anymore.
That wasn't even
It's not
funny. It was so old that it wasn't even funny.
It was old when it came out.
Yeah, the moment it started happening, I was already hurting. Yeah, it was terrible. Anyway, I remember the first time I actually saw somebody in public doing it.
You saw someone in public doing it?
Like in Appleton?
No. This was in Tennessee, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, it's real. Like that's a real.
I can't fathom seeing it in public.
I don't know what I would
I wouldn't want to. I'd throw up.
The thing that's always so weird is we've done content for a long time. So grabbing a camera, facing it towards you, walking around in front of
It's
cars
awkward.
and doing stuff.
I
It is
hate it.
awkward. It's uncomfortable. But I've found a way. I've gotten more comfortable being more natural doing it. I've done it for a long time, but I always felt uncomfortable doing it. And my
I get such
content,
social anxiety like out in public.
yeah, so like I'll do it, and I've gotten better at it. But it's always felt as if it was a little bit more commonly accepted because it was being done in places that were more like niche. Like I was at a car show doing it, or
Right. So it's like,
I was
okay,
at a
that
track
makes sense.
doing it.
Yeah.
And I remember the very first time I haven't been at a Target in a hot minute, but I can't remember where I was. I think it was like the mall, because Becca and I will go to the mall just to like walk around and grab coffee. And I remember seeing somebody with like a stand doing a TikTok like in front of like hundreds of people, like thousands of people, and like not a care in the world. I'm like, get that back.
I mean, if they're not bothering anybody, I don't care. But it still is just like, oh, it's hard to watch. I know.
the NPC stuff, I'm not a super huge fan of, but I always do love seeing like the people that are doing like a day in the life videos, because
Sure.
I've done it too. I've 100% guilty, where it's like grab a camera, set it down, pretend to do the thing, because you have to like tell the story.
Yeah.
But it's always fun watching other people do it, because like they act all casual, then they run back to the fucking tripod and grab it. I'm like, ha, you faker, and it's like I've done it too, but it's
Anyways,
I'm not doing it anyway. Best
favorite-
JDM car.
Yeah, your favorite, personal favorites. I don't want to say
Favorite.
best. I
Favorite.
don't want to say best. It could be a piece of shit, but I just want to know your favorite Japanese cars.
God, that's a tough one.
And I guess people get upset too. Like if you say JDM and then you're talking about American cars that are
There has to
Japanese.
be something.
It doesn't need to be something that's like exclusive to Japan. Just a Japanese manufacturer.
Oh, okay.
So we'll make it a bit simpler.
Okay, I'll start.
Go.
Honda Beat.
Nice.
Love it. Designed
Oh, you
by
did get to drive one, right?
the Honda Beat is a totally underrated car. Designed by Pininfarina, same designer as Ferrari at the time.
Damn.
So actually, when you look at the side of a Honda Beat and you look at the side intakes and kind of like the strafing that it has,
Ferrari.
very similar to Ferrari.
Testarossa.
So you practically own a Ferrari at that point. We drove.
Sick.
You didn't drove it, but it was
Didn't
Josh.
drove it.
I then drove it.
I looked at you and I was like, you were not there.
I-
And then I went back to the story. It was Josh and I. Josh Bentz is a videographer that does some content with us, but he's a bigger boy in terms of like
not-
muscly.
Yeah, easy how you start whipping that word around.
Sorry. He got big shoulders. He's a broad guy.
Boisterous.
No.
Oh,
And he's like
I'm
6'4",
boisterous.
But yeah.
and we both got in the Honda Beat. And I'm going to be really honest with you. At one point, I'm pretty sure his elbows were like this over the shifter. So when I was shifting, I would shift in between his arm, and then I would go back to driving because the car was so small.
You guys are like interlinked for a little bit?
Yeah, but it's a super fun car. Very well
look really
connected.
fun.
An absolute treat to drive. You throw a little horsepower behind them. They're a ton of fun, but it is a car that you are not buying for anyone else but yourself.
Yeah.
Because it is a funky, weird looking, no matter what you do to the car, it's not a cool car. It's just a fun car. It's like even if a Mazda Miata took itself even less seriously. I don't know how to explain it, but
I get it. That makes sense.
Honda Beat, super fun.
I'm trying to think. Gears and Gasoline. I think that's what they drove in their like K-car road trip, right? And yeah, Ben fucking loves
He loves
that
his
thing.
Honda Beat.
Yeah.
He
So there
absolutely
must
loves
be
it.
something there. I
The
think you're onto something.
The smaller the car gets,
The more fun.
quite honestly, it's like an exponential curve.
Dude,
of
that's
fun.
that's why me and Joe's got Honda Groms. It's the same thing on two wheels.
No, I totally agree with you. Like
Totally not proportional to my body type, but it is fun as hell.
it's like I don't know. It's almost like when the cars take themselves less and less and less serious.
Yes, you take
learn
yourself less serious.
exactly, and it becomes
just
way
have
more fun. Kind of like Helldivers 2,
Yes, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
and it's
Yeah,
fun.
it doesn't. Yeah, it's a good call. I take it too seriously.
What do you think?
Oh, dude. Okay, so you're part to blame for this. I've recently just started liking imported four-door big body.
Oh yes,
Never would I thought I'd
Hell
be into
yeah.
this, but like the Gloria, for example, I love. But I think to take it one step past that, dude, I've just really been on this chaser kick lately. I don't know if I'll ever own them, but man, do I enjoy them. I love seeing them. Randy from Eliminate gave me a ride in his chaser, and I remember that was like a game-changing moment because we had four of us. I am a bigger guy, maybe boisterous, some would say. And I was in the back seat, and I was so fucking comfortable, and we're just downtown California cruising. This thing is making all of the right noises that you want to hear when you're driving a turbo Japanese car. It's pulling like a motherfucker. People are breaking their necks, and we're all giggling four deep in this thing, and we're all comfortable. We're having fun, and it's reliable, and this thing is just cooking. And then Alex, I get back, he has a Gloria, and I'm like, this thing's dope. You start drifting it, and it's like, these cars are slept, and they're not terribly expensive either. You're not paying fucking Skyline.
You're not paying
super
50
prices
grand
for
them,
RX-7 prices. I do really like RX-7s too. Those are really fucking cool cars.
RX-7s are sick. Yeah.
Something about these big body cars. I love the idea that they're cheap. They can make crazy power. They make good noises. They look good. There's a lot of body kits and stuff for them, like especially the Chaser platform. You can make those cars look so damn good. Stock, they look kind of like traffic.
It's insane, like how much like those things almost need some sort of body kit on them because I remember when we went to Driver last year. We're actually coming up again next week. We're heading out.
Yeah.
And we were looking through their fleet of vehicles. And I'm like, that's a Chaser? Like, why didn't? And I'm like, and there was one with a body kit next to it. Like, that makes sense. And dude, night and day difference.
And there's another one too that I can't put it on my list because I've never driven it. I've never ridden in one. So I don't know for sure, but I have an assumption that I'd really like I think it's a Nissan Pulsar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right? They're like
SR20s.
a little
all-wheel drive. Yeah.
That seems like it would
things
be
slap.
really dope, and I would really like that, but I don't know. Also, I would say my all-time probably dream import car would be a Nissan Stagea.
Okay.
Even though I'm not, after I've seen the community and how they handle RBs, I'm scared to death, and I don't think I want one, but at the same time, I really fucking want a Nissan Stagea.
Something that's really interesting about the Pulsar that some people don't know is the reason that they were never as widely accepted and adopted into the United States is because overseas, a lot of those Pulsars were actually torn apart specifically for the SR20.
Yeah.
And then the engine was shipped over here to be sold. And so there's tons of these cars out there that have no engines.
That's
and because they
sad,
don't have any engines, nobody ended up importing them. But
that's
they're
so sad.
super
Now I'm
cool.
super fucking.
They're super cool
those
platform.
poor Pulsars.
I was trying to compare because I was looking at the Honda Beat and we were talking about like games. It's not Helldivers 2. I would say a Honda Beat is equivalent to the first time you play Minecraft. And I would say the JZX or like the big four-door turbo cars are like Helldivers because the thing that makes it so fun is it's
your
fun by
friends.
yourself. but being
with
three
people?
other people in the car
Okay, I like
is
that.
such a vibe, and you don't get that in a lot, like in any sports cars. It's always like you and one other person, and it's usually like either your girlfriend or somebody that already expects, you know. But doing something 4 deep in like a 700 horsepower 4-door car is
comfortably. That's the key there. You're not just shoved in. You're like, oh my god, my neck hurt. You're like, and you're just like, fuck yeah. Oh yeah.
It reminds me of the days we bring
Hamburger.
up Sean Berger like in every podcast, it seems like, but like when he had his own S-Class Mercedes, and you just like ride in the back and be like, we're going all the way to Chicago in this, and be like, oh,
Sick.
all right, sounds good. Here's all the leg space. Here's everything I would need.
Starts massaging your back.
Practicalities started getting me excited as I got
Gels.
Oh man, there's so many. Obviously, the RX-7's got to be up there on the list, and it's not just the FD either. I've recently just like developed another new love for like FB RX-7s. I don't know why. I think they just look so good. I think it's because like I look back at like when I played Gran Turismo for the first time. I think it was like one of the cars that you get like right out the gate was like an FB RX-7. I'm like, damn, this thing's so fucking cool. Sports car, fast race car around video game. I think it would be just so sick to do just a simple like just lower, clean wheels, clean interior, period correct modifications to one of those and just have it as like a fun like summer daily. I think it would be so cool.
Absolutely.
Obviously, FD way up there on the list. Every day the prices keep going up and it breaks my heart. But dude, I know one day I will fall back into another 2G DSM. It's got to happen.
Really?
I fucking love those cars so much. I don't know why the look to it to me is just so fucking iconic. Like especially like the Eclipse. I don't know why. It's just like when I think of like early like 2000s
that is a
and 90s,
nostalgic car for
it's so
car
nostalgic
enthusiasts for many reasons, not just Fast and Furious, but for many reasons. I mean, they're like cool looking cars and they're different
They're
too.
very
I mean,
different.
They're different.
To be all-wheel drive and turbocharged, I mean, like that car was kind of like
And
ahead of
two-door,
its time too. Yeah, it's unique.
I don't think America did a bad job with a lot of cars, and I think sometimes they're overlooked because we have access to them.
Right,
but
right.
I think the design elements of that car are it's a perfect combination of like Japanese, American styling all together, and they just got it.
It worked really well. Yeah, and I know that's kind of a weird one to throw on the list because of like the Chrysler.
That's why I said
like,
though. That's why I said
merger.
just like it has a manufacturer that's Japanese.
Yeah, but it's still got a
because-
4G63 in it.
Yeah.
Like it's a Mitsubishi brand, and dude, Mitsubishi was doing something right in the early days there because goddamn, even the Evos of like the same time, like the Evo 3s,
Dude,
Evo 4s.
An Evo 4 too is another
God.
Japanese car that I really fucking love. I love how they look.
It's such a shame because Mitsubishi just didn't do well on like running a business. If they would have just had a good person running the business, they'd still be doing cool shit
I don't
like
know
that.
what happened with
Something
that, but
something got funky,
They
but
did have some really cool shit, and then they gave up.
Yeah.
no, but 100% agree with the big 4-door saloons as well. I look at inventories every day because I'm like, damn, that would just be dope.
Well, yeah, and then there's like even some like just off the wall random ones that's like we see a driver and they're like $8,000, and it's like,
Crown
Dude.
Majesta.
why the fuck am I driving what I'm driving?
Yeah.
Drive that for $8,000. It's right hand drive.
that's
like
sick as fuck.
it's unique. Other than maybe like, well, I think even for a lot of them, parts aren't bad to get. I don't think it's really that.
No.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're looking at like the thing that people remember too, it's like these aren't necessarily performance cars. A lot of these, they're supposed to be just a commuter vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's like they're not pushing a ton of horsepower. They're meant to last. They're a fucking Toyota, so they're built for like 30 goddamn years, like before you have to replace anything. So it's like, yeah, I think it would be fine. Obviously, you're gonna have a little issues here and there, but for the most part, I think you'd be good.
The wild thing about buying a 4-door sedan and the reason that they're so affordable if you're looking to buy one is because overseas you're taxed on the size and weight and engine displacement of your Japanese owned car. So a lot of these 4-door sedans and VIPs
just
were
sitting.
typically owned by executives and family members that had estates, and they never really drove them. So they
So they're
just
super
sat.
low miles too. Yeah.
All of them are super low miles. All of them are usually immaculate. They come at a grade of like 4, 4.5, or even like even above that. So they come in super clean, low miles, barely driven. And because they're a Toyota, yeah, you're right. Or they're underpowered, but they're particularly underpowered because they're meant to last forever. And it's a perfect like match made in heaven because over here, you have to drive all the time to get anywhere to do anything. So it's kind of a cheap way to get into a cool $10,000 car.
Yeah, I want one bad.
And I gotta give credit where credit's due. I think I wanted to think of some niche ones, not like very common. But for my common one, I gotta say one of my all-time favorite Japanese cars, the Honda S2000. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's still one of my favorite cars of all time. It does it so right. There's not many cars that make me feel the way a Honda S2000 does when I drive it. I think it's balanced out perfectly. I think it looks sharp. And what's crazy, too, is I don't like convertibles at all. Somehow the S2K gets the pass.
Yeah.
It does look good. I do like when a hard top's on it. If I had one, I would get a hard top, but it can get away with it, and it still looks good. They just absolutely killed that car. It was so good.
I would say my common pick is an R33 GTR. I remember driving that at Top Rank. I remember driving that at Top Rank, and a lot of people like the R32 because it's a super analog driving, and they love the R34 because it's like the most advanced tech, very placed in the R32. But the R33 sits in this really cool spot where Nissan was trying to develop like a little bit more of a refinement around the GTR nameplate. And I personally think that they did a fantastic job. Like if you own a GTR and you're trying to find something where it can do everything comfortably and it can do it all at a price point that I think is realistic, you can't beat the R33 GTR.
I've never heard someone who owns an R33 GTR say anything bad about it.
No. They just don't like
I've
people
really
don't like that they're softer.
Around to how they look too. I really like the look of them genuinely. I think they're sharp.
Yeah, I'd say my like what would we call it?
Common picks.
Common pick would be the FD for sure, but I would also say that an S15 is up there as well.
Ooh.
Gotcha.
I would really fuck with an S15. Just keep it simple.
Absolutely. Those are good looking cars. Can you import those now?
I think you're starting to.
Yeah, you
I think
should be able to.
This is like the first year.
Yeah.
That's
or it's like
exciting.
it's getting. It's got to be right there on the edge. I think 97, 98. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the thing that's always so crazy to me though is those cars really weren't built for being over here, and now they're coming over here, and these people are like driving them in Minnesota or like driving them in Wisconsin, and they're like rusting so goddamn fast.
Oh, that's
the
so
rust is terrible.
And people are buying these cars for like $60,000, and they're not even like treated for anything like that because they were never really intended.
Yeah,
to
that's the thing with the S chassis. It's like you're gonna drive it on the nicest fucking day possible because if anything else touches it, it will be dust in 2 years.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
That's what I do gotta say. I do love my Euro gang because those ones are always
Euro-
built a little bit more for like, hey, this B5 S4, it's got the undercoating.
They
got
do
a lot
a
of
really
that
good
rust
job
protection.
with that.
Volkswagen even had that wild promotion that it was like, I forget how many years, but it was
like
a
10
lot.
years.
Yeah, 10 years. If your car started to form rust, you could just take it in, they'd fix it
Yeah.
for free.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, that shit was
It was
crazy.
like VW Audi. Yeah.
And people did not take advantage of that the way that they should have. Not like that. For the most part, I think besides Mark IVs and their like fenders / rockers rusting out, I mean, you look at Volkswagen, they're pretty solid cars for the most part.
Yeah, I would say like,
Obviously, but
dude, like BMW, like all the Euro cars do a good job with like the rust prohibitants. Like they seal them up really good. The thing is, like once it starts, obviously it sucks. But
It just reminds me back to we talked about this in a podcast previously, and if you guys are listening, you can agree or disagree. But one of the things that always felt really weird to me is when I would maybe 5 years ago, I do feel like Audi was really talked about as a modifiable car. It was a fun car. A lot of people were picking up the S4s and the S5s and stuff. And now I never hear it. Like even in the build threads, I'll go through the build threads. Nissan, Toyota.
and even if it
Toyota,
is, it's
Honda,
like the B5s. So
Yeah,
it's
but
the older ones.
when I see a Euro Audi, it's always B5,
Yeah.
always B6. And it's like, I wonder, do you think those cars are being slept on, or is there a reason why nobody's buying them?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a price thing. I don't know if it's like a modability point of view. Like, are the parts expensive? Are they hard
can
to
answer
get?
that.
What's up?
who's doing build series and making videos and making content on that?
That's true.
Chris
Yeah.
Flink.
Yeah, he is, and it's really good. And that shit gets slept on.
There you go.
It does. He makes really good content. You should check out Chris Flink if you haven't. He's a local cinematographer, but he does a lot of nationwide coverage of like shows and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But he's been building his Audi and done some wild stuff with it and had the engine out and all this stuff.
I run into Chris Flink twice a year, and every single time it's just solidly good vibes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the
He's
same.
a kind soul.
It's like the same 10-minute conversation, but there's always so much. I'd be like, Chris, how are things? Like,
Fun fact, he did a video of my Focus ST back in the day, and it was for like dirt cheap because he was like kind of getting started, and I was getting started doing stuff. So I was like, I'll pay you to do a show. You make fucking dope videos, and that shit blew up. That was really cool.
I remember when
to
that
see.
came out.
He did a really good job. He's a good guy.
Chris Flink is an awesome dude. Great videographer.
Great
I do, for some reason or another, I always feel bad. And we're getting sidetracked here a little bit, but like there was an era for the longest time where specific videographers for cars, like that was it. The montages, you know, the crispy Evo 10 video in the fall.
The after shows.
Like that was such a huge
after movies.
Yeah, it was such a huge proponent or such a huge piece of the YouTube culture.
Yeah. That was like how I got my dose of that.
And now it's all influencer based. I would say, right, wrong, or indifferent. Like a lot of YouTube content is almost exclusively just like builds and series and things like that. And I feel bad because Chris Flink will drop a video. It's freaking awesome. Like he does
Amazing. Like a
incredible
fucking
shots.
movie.
And it is slept on. Or it's like you see Crispy try to do new things, and it's like, well, because Crispy's not just constantly showing his face, it's not taking off as much as like his old videos used to. And it's like, dude, you guys gotta go check out Crispy. You gotta go check out like these Chris Flink guys, because they're Halcyon,
all them guys like the OGs.
They do such good work.
Dude, it's
and
phenomenal.
And they work so hard too.
They
like
do.
they work a ton.
That's why it's like I get so hyped when I still see like a really good like video come out from a show still, because it's like I feel like, you know, it's all about like the short form stuff. It's like, oh, I just want to see the most wildest, craziest After Effects edit ever. And it's like, those are cool and all, but when you can sit down and watch like a 25-minute like movie from a show that you were at or not, and it's fucking good vibes, good music, and it just makes you feel a certain way, there's nothing that fucking beats
it. Reminds me of like there's a couple videos that come top of mind. I remember Vaded Mob did a video, would have been 2022, I think it was, that I think Josh was a pretty heavy part of. I really loved that video because it showed their team and like their group, and it was the cars, but it was the people, and it was the event, and it had a good mixture of everything. I think sometimes when those after movies are only focusing on the cars, you get bored over time.
Yeah.
Showing those people that make the whole thing possible is nuts.
Yeah, that's why like I think like when the H2I after movies were such a big deal, and like the oh god, I can't think of the name.
Describe it. Let us help
like
you.
the Euro one.
Soe?
Soe.
Soho?
We're always like huge, and obviously I feel like Gatlinburg is kind of that one right now where it's like you go and like the videos and stuff that come out afterwards, like it is about the weekend. It's not just about, oh, look at these dope cars. It's like, look at this person that built the car and like how like they're driving it, and it's like hanging out at the cabin, and it's going on the cruises, it's, you know, hitting up the tail of the Drake, like all that kind of stuff is just so sick.
I'm not trying to circle jerk the conversation too, but that's why I really liked our Gatlinburg video that we did, because like I can go watch that right now, and it's such a memory of what the whole weekend was like, and obviously the cars and the show and all that sort of stuff. I mean, if you guys are out there, God bless you if you're one of the guys that we mentioned that's doing the content or doing the montages. And if we didn't mention you but you're doing it, you know, drop your name below, drop your handle if you got it, because we love seeing that stuff. We love seeing anybody that's trying to create content to grow the automotive community, because it does nothing but help.
Don't call them montages.
Well, what do you want me to call them?
Movies.
Is montage bad?
Montage bad.
Why?
They don't like that.
They don't?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Naughty.
It's okay.
No.
I know. No, I'm told you. You didn't know. It wasn't, you weren't saying it to be derogatory. It's just not looked
It
at.
reminds me of like when I look at that name and word, I just literally think of like the Halo 3 montage.
I think
phase.
that's what it is like that's a montage.
It's just
of
clips
kills.
cut together.
Yeah, where this is like they are filming fucking movies and they are telling stories.
That's true.
Through their content. It's not just a montage. It's not random clips. Some of those, I think there's
I
people
think
out there
that's the
that
thing.
inspire by them that end up making montages. But if you watch like a Crispy video or a Halcyon video, those guys are creating and telling a story through video, through the entire thing, and it's insane.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, let me rephrase that.
Apologize.
No. I'm sorry. I would, you like how quick I switched that?
Yeah, that was good.
I do think if it is telling a story like what I talked about, like the people are in it, it's the weekend, it's the vibes, then yes, that is 100% like a movie. I do think sometimes people are titling things as after movies when it's a montage
dude, yeah.
of
That
60
has
cars
plagued
and
the
rollers
scene. Yep.
and that's all. Like, I don't need to listen to the same funk beat, for 15 minutes. So, I continue to challenge you guys to tell those stories because storytelling is a very hard craft that I think Crispy and Halcyon and all those guys have figured out how to do. The one thing I will say as well before we end this segment is Golden Peaks out of Minnesota. They've been doing some insane stuff, and that team is some of the nicest people I've ever met before. Yeah. When we did the Banging Gears series in February of last year, which I have no idea what's happening with it, but Golden Peaks,
It's out there. It's
Crispy, a lot of those guys, Omar as well, if you guys are listening, these guys were putting in 16, 17-hour days.
It's insane. They were
carrying 90, 100-pound camera equipment. I mean, these guys were filming and shooting, and there was terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of footage. And, like, you're kind of like what we talked about with Lars at the beginning of the podcast, where it's kind of like it's an underappreciated or it's a that's how it feels when I saw those guys going at it. And it's like what you see at the end of it is like maybe a 10-minute video or 15-minute video. You're like, oh, yeah, that was a cool video. And you don't even like it or you don't even comment on it. It's like, dude, these guys busted their balls for weeks to make that thing, So that's all I got.
Yeah, so show them some love. If you see a dope video like that, make sure to interact with it. Share it. It goes such a long way for those guys.
There's some of those videos that are just so fucking good. This is your sign to like go out and just watch a car edit. Just go watch them.
When's the last time you sat down with a couple buddies?
That used to be all I did. I would just get home from fucking work and put on a Crispy video.
I'm doing that
just
tonight.
Be like,
I'm fucking doing that tonight.
Yeah, I want to do that too.
We should just put one up on the TV.
Yeah, we should.
Awesome.
I'll just always have one up on the TV.
What the hell's
Just
wrong
keep
with this?
climbing views on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right. And before we get on to the next segment, we do want to say thank you to Fortunato for sponsoring the MartiniWorks podcast. We are jumping into March. This is where everybody typically starts to say, oh my God, I have to buy these car parts because car show season is coming up. And one thing I always like to remind people is quality car parts go a long way. We understand that sometimes there are places where you need to save a couple bucks, but the one place I always say, don't skip out on tires, don't skip out on coilovers. And Fortunato 500s are an awesome start if you want to jump into something that's modular, that really is going to perform the way that you want on the track or on the street. I've ran them. Dakota's ran them. Gels has ran them. They're absolutely awesome coilovers. One of the big things I constantly get asked, though, is what actually makes them better? Like, why do you keep talking about it? And I want to focus on this weird thing, and then we'll get into the third segment. It's a little bit of a nerdy thing, but it's Fortunato uses what's called a digressive piston. And that digressive piston inside the coilover is actually specifically built so that when you're going slowly through something like turns or dips or dives, you can feel that steering response through it because that digressive piston is letting all that fluid through it. It's actually giving you a really nice connected feel. But at high speeds, when you hit a bump or when you hit something on the highway and you get that really fast compression and rebound, that digressive piston is actually slowing that down to absorb a lot of it, which gives you a really comfortable feel, which is why a lot of times when people are like, why are you saying it's good for the street and it's also good for the track?
Yeah.
It's because that digressive piston is literally built to handle both of those cases versus it being something that's linear, which when you have a linear piston, it feels good in some cases and bad in the others. So if you are looking for coilovers, can't really speak highly or enough about Fortunato coilovers. We have them on the website over on MartiniWorks, and we can help you get those taken care of at the lowest price, free express shipping, it's all the good stuff. So with that being said, we'll come right back. Sometimes I find myself looking at people and saying, that person definitely drives a Honda Civic.
Okay.
Or that person definitely thinks that EVs are the future. So I want to play a game with you guys really quick. It's not no context.
This could go really bad.
It could, but it's not going to because we're better than that.
Okay.
I'm going to start naming off random games. Video games.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me, based on that game, what kind of car do you think that person would drive?
Interesting.
Fair?
I think I get it.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's getting, yeah.
So I say Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, when it initially came out, what kind of vehicle do you think they're driving these days?
Like, the kid that was like super into that.
Super into it, sweaty.
G35.
I was honestly going the same direction, like some like VQ powered thing. It was either that or like I don't know why, like the newer Camaros came to mind too. I don't know why.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Halo 3.
What do you
Lexus.
own? Ferrari F430.
That would be sick. I mean, dozens of us.
Okay, so Halo 3.
Lexus.
Lexus? Why?
Just something has a little more power, but it's refined.
Yeah.
It's a little more expensive, but good taste.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It was limited to one area.
What?
It's just Xbox. Like it's just.
Oh yeah, true.
Exclusive.
It is a bit exclusive. You're right. You're right. I didn't factor that in, but it makes sense.
Okay.
GoldenEye 007.
Ooh, those are DSM guys.
Yeah.
Because they're all old now.
Yeah. And they know what's good. And they'll stand by that shit.
Yeah, those are. DSM
I agree with
guys.
Jules on that one.
Because I
Okay.
played GoldenEye.
Yeah.
GoldenEye. All right. World of Warcraft.
Never touched it.
I would say
Veloster.
Veloster or a base model of something. Just like Honda
it's
Civic
supposed-
base.
okay,
Volkswagen
okay.
Golf base.
Okay.
What about RuneScape though?
Oh my God. They drive wherever they want.
Lamborghini.
It's spread across the board. No, not Lamborghini. It's spread across the board though. It's just you have such a
It's so big.
wide variety of people. Yeah, they're all over. It's
Okay,
everything.
all right.
It's a little bit of everything in there.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Minecraft.
Ooh.
What are Minecraft kids driving?
Mazda Speed 6s.
Mazda Speed 3.
Oh, okay.
Mazda entirely.
Okay.
Just
Just all the just Mazda in general. All right.
Miatas.
Yeah, I'll take it. Why not?
All right. Dark Souls.
Ooh,
Somebody that likes a fucking RX-7.
LFAs.
Oh, what the fuck?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Was there 3 people that play it?
Yep. No,
Three people
it's-
play it. 3 people own an LFA.
If you make it through any Dark Souls game, you deserve an LFA. That's
See,
all I'm saying.
I think that's
It's got to be
where
something like
It's got to be
2G
something
DSM.
that's like a challenge to own.
yes,
DSM.
like, yes.
2G.
Yeah. But I would, something like, what's like the most unreliable car you can own, but is fast?
Ooh.
A fully built GTR with an RB.
There we go. Or Subaru kids. I'd say that's Dark Souls.
No, 900 horsepower
Yeah,
Subaru.
they're like
kids.
built STI.
Yeah, the Smedias of the world that are like, I built this 900 horsepower car because I literally touched every tiny thing on this car. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Ooh.
240.
240.
Yeah, that adds up.
I was gonna say like an IS300. So yeah, I'm glad
Yeah,
we're
any drift car.
aligned. Doom.
Oh, someone just wants to turn their brain off. The Hellcat.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like any American
I was
muscle.
gonna say like ZR1, first gen Viper.
fucking Z06 or something.
Ooh, I got another good one. Fable 2. You remember that game?
I love that game. That's one of my favorite games of all time.
That's a great game.
Yes.
I never finished it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got so far into it that I took a break one time.
Oh, and you never came
then
back.
I went to try and get back into
It's
it, but I
hard
was
to
too
do
far
that.
gone, and
Yeah.
I was like, I have to start over, and I was like, I can't start over.
Dude, I just remember, I'm going to say, because you're never going to fucking play it, the ending on it, which you never got to. It's better to not have played it at all than to play it and not finish it, in my opinion. Because at the end, a bad guy comes, and I think he's about to shoot you, and he shoots. And I'm like, holy fuck. And your dog that you had the whole time jumps in front of the bullet and fucking dies in slow motion. And you're like, that's terrible. Like, you have the dog the whole game. Through the entire game. It's like, oh my, that was terrible. Fuck this game. I hate it. And then at the very end, because you beat it, you get 3 choices. It's like wealth, a crazy strong weapon. I could be wrong on that one. Or bringing back a loved one. And you can choose to bring your dog back, and he's good. And that was the best thing in the history of the world.
Thanks for ruining it.
You were never gonna play.
Borderlands
So
2?
you didn't even answer.
Yeah, what do they drive?
Fable 2.
What do they own?
Oh, sorry.
I don't know. What's R34 GTR probably.
I was going to say like a 4Runner.
What the? I guess I get where you're
can't
coming
speak
from.
on this.
but
I don't know what the game is. I don't know what it's about.
Fable 2 is just
like-
a very big, intensive game, and it requires a lot of decisions, and you pretty much have to be an adult to get to like the end.
Your decisions.
Great games for kids. Got it.
Yeah.
Your decision can make you like evil or good,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and it reacts real time.
Well, then probably a G37S.
What the fuck?
It can go anywhere. Those cars can go anywhere. They can be beautifully built, really well done, really meticulous, incredible,
Or just clapped
It
out
can
or
pieces of
clapped
shit.
out giant
That
garbage.
can go for
piles.
anything.
That's funny.
All right, I'm gonna Burnout 3 Takedown.
Again.
Ultima.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Pack.
League of Legends.
Can't talk on that one.
I would say this is like Tesla.
I was gonna say
Ooh.
an
I'm
N54.
gonna say it's for some.
Is that the BMW?
335,
Is that
yeah.
the E90 guy?
I was gonna say just nerdy tech.
I was gonna
Tesla.
say really like angsty.
Is that because Lars plays League of Legends?
Well, I play League of Legends too.
I used to
and
play a
we,
lot.
We are the most toxic duo in that game ever. Like, we will absolutely steamroll anyone, and we will hate each other while we do it because we both think that we're fucking off.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much League of Legends in a nutshell.
That's funny.
Titanfall 2?
Underrated. Underrated powerhouse.
Played that
I
for a
would say.
little bit.
That was a great game.
Yeah, and I think it didn't get the love it deserved. I think it might have been ahead of its time.
Came
a
out at
little
a
bit.
weird time.
Yeah. So, what car is kind of
Came out at the wrong
similar
time.
to that? Yeah, and it was good. It was good. Not mad about it. I liked it. Underrated.
What car came out at the wrong time?
Honestly,
Okay.
might be controversial.
Okay, let her rip.
4.2 first gen Audi R8. For the longest time, those cars were never seen as a viable option because everybody shit talked the 4.2. But I still think they're a fantastic car with like a great platform. And up until 2020, they were actually super affordable. You could pick up a 4.2 liter automatic R8 for $42,000, $45,000. Compared to now, they're like 100.
Yeah.
What did we get? What parts?
I
did
think
we
that's fair. Yeah, we just had the. If you saw like overexposure happening,
Anyway,
I don't know. That's a tough one. I'll keep thinking on that one. If I come up with something, I'll just scream into
I
the
want to
mic.
play Titanfall.
last one,
Okay.
Fortnite.
I would say
Is it wrong to say that would be Subaru in general?
I'm trying to think.
You can say whatever you want, baby. It's your podcast.
Subaru comes to mind for that.
It's got to be something goofy,
Goofy.
but I still like it. Because like it's like Mini Cooper people, I think. I think it's
Mini
Mini
Cooper?
Cooper
Okay.
people. Little people.
I'm not answering.
Little Cooper. They like to be called Little Cooper. Okay.
See, remember how we started this conversation by saying it could go terrible, and we're on that cliff. All right,
I'm not saying anything wrong.
you're not. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
We said
that
that
one.
Did I say that one? Okay. All right,
Technically, I
We're
think you
done.
said
We're done
three.
with this.
we're done. I'm sorry. Okay,
No,
I just thought I would have one more. I'm done.
lassoed
That was sick.
flip-flops.
We're losing them.
All right, so,
I
yeah,
know. I
sorry.
know. Okay. So I'm trying to check into the world of what's going on for trends or
That was fun.
I feel like
what's new.
it's been pretty quiet lately.
It has. Last
The
week we
automotive
talked
world.
about the car and driver, or whatever
Lightning
it was,
lap.
the lightning lap. That was pretty much it. Really, the only thing that I
coming for
keep
summer.
seeing, which isn't going to really help us talk about it because I don't think any of us have any experiences. Car and Driver's 2024 like SUV win was the Mazda CX-90. Anytime I go out to look at any sort of like just standard vehicle purchase, the CX-90 seems to be.
Dude, Mazda fucking kills it with their SUVs. I'm sorry. They do such a really good job.
I just am ashamed to
Just in
support-
general, like just for like an everyday like commuter car that like
It
just
is
does what it needs to do.
nothing
Mazda
more
does it
than that,
good.
though.
Not as good as like Honda and Acura,
Because like
but they do it
my
good.
buddy Neff he needed a commuter because he was driving an hour and a half to work and back
Mm-hmm.
every single day for over a year, and he just wanted that daily commuter. And he picked up, I can't remember which one. It's a Mazda SUV.
CX something.
Yeah, it was nice, but like even him, he's like, dude, I'm sick of this. He's kind of more of an enthusiast-driven
Yeah.
person. And he's just like, I'm just fucking bored. But it did do what it needed to do and nothing more.
That's
So
what they're supposed to do.
for a person that looks at a car as a tool at A to B, I could see how that might be appealing. I don't know. I'm assuming they're a bit affordable and stuff too compared to other SUVs. And
I was impressed with our friend Mark has that Mazda 3.
It's a cool looking car.
It's a decent looking car.
I think those look.
It's got a really nice interior. It's manual still.
Yeah.
Sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I
Got
think
no complaints on it.
the biggest thing for me is I would really like to see Mazda bring back. They're doing like the Spirit Racing versus the Mazda Speed thing.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes. The problem for me is like I don't like when they do the fast, like they pull the fast ones. You know, it's like here it's been
They
6
do that
months.
a lot.
Here's the 6 months. Here's a random prototype to keep the enthusiast happy.
Yeah.
Here's 6 more SUVs, and it's like Mazda, I love you. I
We
do.
need something other than Miata.
But the Miata, you can't keep putting your hat on the Miata. We need something else, and I'm hopeful that in the next year or so that something good comes from Mazda because they have so much going for them. Everybody loves them. I've never heard of a single person that doesn't like Mazda. They're always constantly defending Mazda, even though Mazda's not giving them anything to drive.
We just are holding out hope. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, still holding on to the 90s.
It's like if I keep talking good about them, maybe they'll do something.
like Santa. Then maybe
Yeah, well, that's not been going so well for Dakota.
Yeah,
So
Santa don't fucking listen to any of my shit anymore. I swear, dude. It was like moved out of my parents' house and it's like, oh, you're not with your birds, you get presents. That's what Santa said to me. I think.
Did he say that for real?
No, because he never responded
really
to letters.
strange
I'll keep
coincidence.
writing.
Leaving you on red. Outside of that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on in the World Wide Web. There wasn't really anything on the internet.
Well, we do have some
Porsche,
cool shit coming up though. That's exciting news.
really cool. Shit.
We're going to drive. We're going to Virginia
Yeah.
International Raceway, and we are going to the Fortunato building, which I've never been in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's exciting. That's
So
coming
I
up
think-
super fast.
So when this comes out, we'll be there.
Yeah,
There
we'll
you
be
go.
at
Listen
Japan
in.
Auto Legends. If you guys are in the Virginia area,
Coming out.
come hang out. Japan Auto Legends, really cool event. This is their second year
Yeah,
hosting
and it's
it.
going to be big this year.
Last year when we went, we didn't really know what to expect. Driver
the first one?
Motorsports invited us out, and it was an absolute treat. Gels drove a Century, I drove a 300ZX, and Dakota drove a Supra.
Mark IV.
Mark IV, baby.
sir.
And
That
it
was
was
so sick.
super cool experience. Gels lost the keys to the Century.
Like,
which-
quality
I didn't
of
lose them.
cars
I knew
there.
exactly where they were. They were in the trunk that was
that's true.
inaccessible.
They weren't lost. They
knew
were
right where they were.
stuck.
it's like a Rubik's Cube to
I
get
never,
that thing unlocked.
never knew you could hot wire a trunk release, but I know now.
Yeah, Driver Motorsports, they figured it out. That was a wild situation. But when we were there were a lot of cars that actually showed up for the first year, and there was a lot of quality
There
stuff.
was some insane builds.
There was a lot of quality stuff, which reminded me that the Honda boys are now coming into like being 45, and they have 45-year-old money.
And they also have like $5,000 valve covers, which just blows my mind.
That's what I'm saying. They're like, well, I couldn't afford it back when I was 16, but I can now.
feel like
So
that's
it's
my whole
mine.
life.
There was that guy with the SI. He had like all the official like Mugen parts and like the valve covers. And then he's like, he had these like crazy wheels, but he's like, I just love both of these sets of wheels so much. So I got them in the same exact spec, and they're crazy rare. So it was really hard for me to find. So I'm running one set on one side,
Yeah.
and then another pair on the other side.
That
of
guy
it.
won best of show.
Yeah, I'm like, that is indecisiveness, and I love it.
First place was that super clean Honda. Second place, I think, was it the Skyline or the Datsun?
I can't remember if the Datsun got second or third.
Yeah, the orange Datsun, which was meticulous.
We saw that at Gatlinburg, too.
Yeah, super clean car, which is super hard to do with some of those. Like, obviously, if you take everything out and you start back at the bare metal, I think that was awesome, and you can do that. But it's really cool to see cars that haven't had to go through that and still have been relatively clean. Like seeing like the stock carpets and seeing all the stock bits on the inside
It was
that's
an
cool.
honor to be a judge for that, but man, was it hard.
It took us 3 hours.
Hardest thing I've ever
Yeah,
done.
dude.
Yeah, we didn't know how long
it was. Meticulous.
Yeah, Driver Motorsports, those guys are very specific on what they like and who they are, but there's the nicest group of people at the same time. So there's never a sense of like judginess, right? But
Even when you're judging.
they really were like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Here's the piece of paper, and I've judged car shows forever, and usually it's maybe 7 categories and it's a 10-point
No.
system. No. Driver Motorsports, it was like 25 columns plus a summary, all the cars. It felt
How did
like,
this car make you feel?
yeah,
It's like we got handed like a fucking
Scantron.
Scantron.
Yes.
Literally a Scantron
Yes.
test for like the yearly test that you
Which
do.
I appreciate because when we added up all of our judges' scorecards together, it's like, this makes
close.
sense.
Yeah.
This makes sense. That was the rightful winner.
Yeah. So if you guys are in the area, definitely recommend checking it out. And if you listen in on the podcast, let us know a random group of people and what video game they associate with the most in the comments. If you're looking to buy some car parts, Mod Your Car at MartiniWorks. We super appreciate all the support, and see you on the next one. Anything else, Giles?
I'm good. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.